Press cross button.
Good news, it's time to put your life on the line for the Resistance.
About bloody time.
Hello and welcome back to The Upload. In this episode, we're talking about CTOS 3.0, the city operating system that's now powering all of London. For those of you who need reminding, as if anyone does at this point, CTOS was first used in Chicago in 2014 and then San Francisco in 2017 before coming here to London. And every time it's been rolled out, it's been pretty much an unmitigated disaster.
For those of you who are listening who are lucky enough not to be here in London's chaotic scenes, it's worth remembering that the telecoms tower is now owned by Bloom. The tower looms over northwest London. It's always been a communications hub, acting as part of the UK's television and communications network, although there's been some secrecy around its use, and now that Bloom owns it, it's only even more secret.
Yeah, now everything that's part of Bloom's city surveillance operation is run through the telecoms tower. And I have to say, it looks completely ridiculous. It's got that silly crown thing at the top and all the blue light.
What's that even about? What does it do? I don't see that there's any purpose to that at all.
It's a blight on the skyline, if you ask me, and it's become the main point of control for millions of people. The System Network and Bagley are both operated and streamed from there too.
And don't forget about the self-driving cars too.
I always thought they were just running on their own.
No, CTOS is the big control system behind the cars. There was a point back in the earliest days of self-driving car technology that they operated by themselves. They used to use a series of sensors to see the world around them. Radar, for instance, would look far off into the distance, while LiDAR would detect objects nearby. And while these cars still use some of this technology, Bloom CTOS and its detailed maps and data that it has on London really makes Bloom be able to take control of it. And CTOS can take control of your car if you're parked incorrectly. It's no surprise that it was made mandatory to have a self-driving car.
The system is so bad though, it's so annoying. Whenever I try to use one of the shareable self-driving cars, I always find myself stuck in traffic jams or roadblocks. Not to mention the accidents. I've heard so many stories of cars shunting into the back of others. I think they're worse than human drivers sometimes.
The technology was meant to make things better, but Bloom has made it so bad that it just makes London even more chaotic than it was before. I'm giving up on the cars. I'm only using the bikes, which are not self-driving at the moment, at least. And don't even get me started on the data. Everything that Bloom sees from your movement surveillance around the city and the self-driving cars is collected and feeds back into its big information control system.
Oh, not you and Bloom and privacy again. You're a broken record.
Not as broken as our city's cars.
The Bar. Objective voice of objection for a most objectionable world. Hello, Buxters. Welcome to The Bug, the comedy show that holds up the Medusa of satire to the already immovably concrete face of London. I'm Andy, I bench 480, and I can crack a tree in half just by looking at it. Can I? But what is reality? Alice, what do you bench?
I bench body weights.
Right.
Well, not my body weight.
Okay.
Body weight of a baby.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to give that kind of detail. Just
Very
body weight.
impressive. People look at me and go, where did you get that baby?
Yeah. You are listening to The Bug.
In this week's Truth News, according to an official poll, 98% of Londoners are very happy with CTOS. And I am not sure that I agree with this, Andy. I don't think 98% of Londoners have ever in the history of London ever agreed on anything. You could not get 98% of Londoners to agree that oxygen was better than breathing a fog of raw liquid feces. And they expect us to believe that everyone agrees CTOS is better than not choking on shit mist.
I mean, maybe they just spent 98% of one specific Londoner who bought shares in Bloom before its tentacles grew into every crevice of the country. I mean, this is not just any old poll. We should say that. This is not any poll. This is an official poll, right from the very heart of government. It's not a knockoff fake poll of an elderly couple and their mangy old dog sitting on a bench waiting to die. This is an official poll. So let's just put those words "official poll" through an online translation. If you didn't study languages, let's find out what it actually means. Made up lie. There we go. Clear that up. I think it's fair to say, entirely trust these official polls. They feed us, Alice. I mean, they could publish an official poll saying that over 99.9% of children like ice cream, and I would instantly assume that all children now hate all ice cream and would prefer to eat a bucket of gravel mixed with their badges. They could publish an official poll saying that 10 out of 10 cats prefer cat food to whack with a tennis racket.
My bad.
Here we go!
The fuck are you doing?
Eat this!
Get fucked!
Teach those. Suspect reported in your area, potentially armed and hostile.
Control, we are pursuing the suspect. Putting an end to the chase now.
This is not...
All units, we are after the suspect.
Control, I've lost sight of the target. Over.
Returning to HQ. Search terminated. I say again, all units, we have reports of a hostile in your area. Over. Move into the hostile's location.
No, so you've
advise. Drone, perform a search.
Right, putting a stop to this. Units fall back. Over.
What are you saying? Oh, I'm going to want to remember this.
I'm here. Let's do this. Now that's an improvement.
Oh, I like that mask. Spicy.
I mean, what's the point of doing vigilante shit if you can't look cool doing it, right?
I'll take Overwatch. Not now.
I need to call someone. They've got style. Oh, just wait till I see this online.
There's no point. No.
I don't even know what to say.
Right.
Okay.
There's a CTOS camera installed inside my underwear drawer. A media drone is scaring the birds off my garden bird feeder, and you can't get me consistently hot water.
Speaking of media drones, they're everywhere, clearly. The great thing, I guess, about media drones is that, as inanimate robots, they actually have more humanity, compassion and dignity than the human journalists we used to have to put up with a much more accurately calibrated moral compass. But it's the intrusion I can't stand, Alice. I'm in showbiz. Look at me here in this windowless dungeon. I'm in showbiz. And it's terrible for me with all these drones, knowing I'm being filmed all the time, every day after make sure I've done my hair and makeup and not wearing clothes I've never worn before. Well, we all have crosses to bear.
At this point, they've installed so many CTOS cameras, I'm not sure where they'll put the new ones. On top of the old ones, just cameras watching other cameras, like a social media influencer so self-absorbed they don't know how to sleep without turning it into monetized content.
I think that's the logical end of our society, isn't it? Where just everything has just become a camera filming another camera. To be honest, I've just given up on all news and reality now, Alice. I just, in fact, I now just make up my own headlines these days. I get a piece of paper and a pen, remember them? Paper and pens, those are the days. And I'll just write down the headlines I want to read. Now, I'll just make my own newspaper. Here I've got today. If you point at the bird shit on your car window and say it's a currency, no one can tell you otherwise. Screams Chancellor at Bilderberg karaoke night. That's right, another headline. Here we go. PM announces Britain back on track after swapping all Crown Estate properties for some magic beans. Might as well, we've got to do something as the nation we are today. Here's another one. Wild joy on the streets as Britain signs £864 zillion trade deal with Bolivia. There we go. Build a better world. Government claims only nice people will benefit from agreement to sell trampolines, mermaids and warships to landlocked South American nation. We're building a better Britain. Here's another one. Environment probably fine, claims drowning scientist. Invent the world you want to have, people. It's going to be way, way better than the one you've actually got. From the bug, goodbye. From the Buccaneer, this is the bug.
While food contaminations happen from time to time, London has seen a sharp rise in E. coli, salmonella and listeria in recent years, and many are pointing to government cutbacks in food standards monitoring. Join GBB tonight to learn more.
The bug, nibbling away on the rotting carcass of the once free Britain.
Yum, yum.
Hello, Resistance fans. You're listening to the Bug Podcast, the objective voice of objection for this most objectionable world. I am Andy, not my real name, so good luck finding me, Monsieur Bloom. My real name is, in fact, Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is, in fact, the most densely populated place on Earth these days, overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour in these Netherlands of nonsense, it's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice? I am not going to tell you that, but you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Let's spin the wheel and find out where we're getting today's news from. It's coming from here. I must get a new wheel with at least one other place on it. And the headline today, Alice, our borders are safe. We can all sleep easy in our well-bordered beds. 4,000 illegals were deported last month. These illegal people breaking the law just by existing. And of course, illegality is contagious. It can osmose.
All units. Possible suspect or suspects reported near your location.
Is that really
We're on their tail.
75 million people have been deported from this country, and I'm here in Britain on my own.
As a bleeding heart lefty, Andy, I would normally be outraged about this.
Suspect is
clearly,
unsighted.
I think mass
Unsighted
deportation
sweeping
is a very
area.
handy way to break up with a partner. I'm probably going to get not the source of the point of view for snoring really loudly in a French way.
So everyone out, no exceptions. Alice, not even you. It's for the good of the country. Everyone out, unless you can prove that your family are in the
Control,
background
I've
of a
lost the target.
tapestry cheering on King Harold at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Get out. Actually, that's not British enough. Unless you can show unarguably that your direct bloodline is untainted by anything since before the Romans.
Target is long gone.
Ancestor
Disengage. Over and out.
for building Stonehenge. Get out of my garden.
Suspects reported in your area.
I guess we
Potentially armed
best
and
way to
hostile.
stop immigration.
Control.
Going in for a tactical ramp.
They've been resting on their laurels for too long, very inefficiently.
Please have officers standing by. Over.
And they could do with being about a kilometre and a half.
Negative. No vision of the
Greasy
suspect.
coating is what people clambering over the top or however they get in. Here's a quick joke for you, Alice. Did you hear the one about the woman who walked into the immigration processing centre and was ever seen again?
No, Andy, I didn't hear that one.
I'm terminating research. Fall back.
Classic. For
Over.
those of you unfamiliar with the immigration processing centre is, of course, where so many of our guests to Britain go for a longer than desirable benefit of voluntary hide and seek. You are listening to The Bar. I will conclude by saying that of all the things wrong with Britain today, I think immigration is right up there, Alice. When you think of all the health professionals we've stolen from overseas over the years here in Britain, it's quite possible that all these people are just coming here to try to get an appointment with their local doctor.
Yes, Andy, certainly as someone who came from the expanded arm of the empire when Britain was still reaching out rather than folding in on itself. Most of us just come here to visit our stuff in the museums.
British way.
Speaking of international movement, Britain has recalled all European ambassadors after a spy scandal.
Where can I get one of those cars?
All units. I repeat, all units. We have reports of a hostile in your area. Over.
Received. Mobilizing.
Control. I'm ready to immobilize the target. Armed target. Over.
How much worse can they do if they're not there? I mean, by definition, the fact that
anyone
there's a
see
spy
the
scandal
suspect?
means that they were terrible spies. The point of spies is that there's never a spy scandal.
Let's give credit to all the spies that haven't been in scandals and therefore might as well not exist.
Control.
Well, they've arrested
Let's
those
put out
German
an
spies
APW.
in that
We're getting
crackdown
nowhere
on the
here.
illegals in Hackney, and I think that's a sad thing. I think I used to think of Germans as quite scary, but that was because I've been watching World War II movies where the Germans all have English accents. They speak in a very precise ways. But I mean, they have ways of making you talk, and now Germans all have that American accent where it's all like, "Welcome to the party. We're having a really nice time." Much friendlier Germans. It's better to stay.
Well, that's all today, Buxters. Remember, it's not as bad as it seems. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
May cause nausea, vomiting and headaches. You're listening to The Bug, the Resistance comedy show brought to you by the Buccaneer Network. I'm Andy, joining me, as always, Alice.
I'm excited to be here. Apparently, the resistance is not going well.
Again? self-defense. DedSec is no longer a threat, which I guess is true in that it was never a threat in the first place. Reminds me of when my great aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, Andy, that surgeon is a real threat. Wagging that knife and he sort of knocked me out. Scalpel and
Every resistance that I've ever seen is weaker than the British pound. I feel like hope is an expensive thing to buy these days.
Right. I mean, is it all totally pointless? What we do? I mean, it can feel pointless, but then again, I've spent almost all of my life doing pointless things like watching sport, thinking about sport, thinking about watching sport, learning French and hoping for a better future. All completely pointless. But yeah, I've done them, so we might as well carry on. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I think there is. Unfortunately, what is that light? Is it an oncoming train? But no, it couldn't be. Honestly, that train will be late or cancelled. Is the light at the end of the tunnel a burning effigy of the concept of hope? Quite possibly. Is it the soul of Sky Larson floating into its own vacuum? May well be that. Is it the ego of Nigel Harrison that is now so big that it's sucked all the light in the universe into itself? I think that it's most likely is that, but we'll never give up, Bug fans. This resistance will never die. And one day, we will again be free.
Possible suspect or suspects reported near your location.
Received. Again.
Moving to intercept.
Before we go, time for a quick bug off. I'm going to nominate this week Sky Larson here. And in many ways, Sky is the ultimate feminist icon, proving that women can do just as abominably awful things as men. I mean, overall, Alex, I think we're still ahead as men, but you lot are catching up. Fair play. Fair play.
Control, we are unsighted of suspect.
You're
Over.
listening to Buccaneer, your pirate podcast source for what they don't know to know. I'm Tash, and this time we're giving a special shout out from us to the boys and girls.
Search has yielded no results. Report back to HQ.
Better known as SIRS. Why not? They're going to be listening anyway. They're listening to everything. But
Urgent call. Possible hostile at your location.
It uses its powers to stifle
Monitoring for unusual
and shut
activity.
down free speech. Instead, we're going to look at how SIRS became so powerful. So SIRS doesn't come looking for them. Ian was a veteran political writer and podcaster back in the days of pre-crisis Britain.
Anyone have visual? Anyone?
Is the world we're living in now fascist? Well, this is what fascism is. It is the complete and total control of the individual. The desire to basically say to the individual, nothing in your life matters.
Control, we're heading back. Over.
Part of the nation. And the only meaning that you will find in your life is to become part of the nation. What is a nation? A nation doesn't mean anything, right? The nation is basically just encapsulated by the leader that takes over, that claims that he, has this sort of access to the soul of the country, to the soul of the people. He never does, it's just a myth. But that's what they go for. On that basis, they take the right to control every aspect of your life, from who you talk to where you eat, to where you go to hang out with your friends. And what we're seeing now is a contemporary iteration of this process where you get corporations and the state operating in tandem, basically molded into one another. But that isn't that rare. It's exactly the same thing in Nazi Germany. You look at the concentration camps that operated in Nazi Germany. There were private companies in those camps making use of that slavery. Fascism often works with corporations, and it's doing the same now. That's the way in which they track what you do. That's the way in which they track who you talk to. They operate as each other's proxies.
Charles is an expert in the dark arts of surveillance who worked to set up democratic media in post-communist states. How did it go so wrong in Britain?
We're looking at all the wrong things when we look at Britain's crisis. There's a lot of concentration on data and how that's been used and manipulated. And what we haven't looked at is the power structures and the profit that lies behind this. For example, if we examine what actually happened, You know, there's a company that's really very interested in selling passports and making it easy to provide visas for investment and so on. And historically, throughout the world, they've been working with this big data manipulation company in order to overthrow governments. And then suddenly all the chickens came home to roost. Nobody could find any receipts for what was paid for. Nobody could figure out how things were done, but everybody had a feeling that something really stunk, and they couldn't figure it out. And yet, it was standing there in their face the whole time. There's a couple of different ways that we got where it is that we are. One, you have a lot of small organizations, smaller power groups, companies as well, who are bending things just a little, or will compromise a little bit, will bend the rules a little bit, and try to achieve what it is that we hope to achieve that's good for us. And if you add all of that up, what you end up with is a big wall moving in a big way from a lot of little buttons being pushed. But also there's this other thing that's going on here, is the gathering of data and the analysis of data has authoritarianism contained within its DNA. It is by its nature a tool for authoritarianism, and it has been used in that way.
How does big data look into our lives? James covered it in pre-crisis press.
We're starting to see the merger of private data and that with data held by the state into what are called social credit systems. This is where every aspect of your behaviour is monitored and totted up by a central system to sort of score you as a person, a bit like a credit card, but predicated on all of your behaviour rather than just the money you're spending. And this can have profound impact. We're starting to see systems emerge which will punish you and stop you from doing things in society based on your behaviours. And this can be as trivial as if you jaywalk, if you cross the road in the wrong place, you might lose points. If you do some community activities or help your neighbours, you might earn points. And then this can be used to sort of evaluate you as a person. And this could mean, for example, better travel privileges, being able to travel first class, or being denied from travelling first class to not being able to travel at all. These systems are very real and very possible because of all of the data that is now held on us.
So if your ears are burning and you think someone might be watching you, you're probably right. They're watching all of us. I'm Tash, and you've been listening to Buckingham. Keep listening, keep sharing the show, and keep it encrypted. They're watching us, but we're vigilant.
Last year, this MP was exposed as corrupt and resigned from office. Fast forward a few months and he's back in politics, this time as a lobbyist, advancing the interests of Bloom, Tidus and Albion. Find out more tonight at GBB.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Upload. We're talking about the optic and how it's changed our lives. Now, as you remember, Bloom announced a new version of the optic at the recent Tone conference, but we haven't heard too much about that since due to the dramatic events there. Let's cast our minds back and consider the technology. I mean, the optic changed everything. It lets you see things in AR. You no longer need a smartphone. You just have the small implant that sends signals to your optic nerve and lets you see your emails, take calls, and browse the internet directly as if the screen was in front of your eyes. Instead of having to carry around a phone, you've just got the small handheld unit. So much lighter and so much more convenient. It's great.
Vicky, you sound like you absolutely love the optic. Do you actually think that it's made our lives any better?
I mean, sure, it's definitely made things a lot easier. It's so simple to call someone now. All you have to do is so much easier. I remember
Control,
when you used to have
we have
to
a
sit
visual
down
on
at
the subject.
Mouse and type everything out. And my favourite feature is public transport. It even acts as a passport. Try and find my old paper passport just to travel somewhere. Also, I thought that Optic's marketing strategy, making it free for people, was a stroke of genius.
Genius. Bloom was really calculated when it was doing that. It was pushing this draconian device on us at all. Sure, everybody flocked to it. There was free Wi-Fi.
Control,
and phone
we're
plans.
returning to
That
HQ,
definitely helped,
over.
but it wasn't a case of this is a product that you need in your life.
Why do you hate it so much?
It's just the worst because you had to give up your privacy expectations and accept surveillance. It was almost like the government and Bloom didn't even need to make the optic mandatory. Making it mandatory was only to get the last holdouts across the line. If free data didn't convince you, fines and arrests from the state for not having the optic would pretty much be enough.
I mean, what do you mean by privacy problems? No one really talks about that anymore.
They don't talk about it because we don't have any choice when it comes to the optic. Yes, it's convenient and mandatory, but everybody's forgotten what it really means. Here, we've got a whole company only basically your life. You can see everything you can see. There are so many times when I don't want anyone to have a clue about where I am, who I'm chatting with, what I'm doing. It's not even dodgy stuff, but I just don't want anybody to blackmail with me with this in the future by hacking it. And because of Bloom's contracts with the government, it isn't just Bloom that can see everything I do, it's the government. The UK as a state has become a complete surveillance paradise.
I think you're painting a bit of a bleak picture. It's not all that bad.
No, you're completely wrong on this. I don't want everybody tracking me wherever I'm going around London.
Well, in that case, you might be interested in some rumours I heard. Did you hear that some dead set hackers have found a way to bypass the optics connection with Bloom?
Are they actually making it better or usable or actually friendly for anybody?
Well, word on the street is that they've been able to create an encrypted signal, which means that your world might have a chance of becoming a bit more private again, so you could go back and enjoy all the great things about optic without that fear of surveillance.
With the optic, privacy's dead.
The bug, nibbling away on the rotting carcass of a once free Britain.
Yum yum.
Hello, Bugs. This is the Bug. I'm Andy. This is Alice, and today we're going to be pretending that everything is fine. Yeah, and back. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? That was as long as I could manage.
Urgent call. Possible hostile at your location.
Update to the CSA app, the government app. That
Responding to the call.
Of snitching on people you don't like. Back to the very heart of public life, the school playground. And when they tell a new threat, it's got a whole new lease of life these days.
Any other patrols have eyes on the suspect, over?
No more grumbling about your neighbours playing their music too loud, just simply report them to the state and have them, shall we say, involuntarily rehoused.
That's it. I'm calling off the pursuit.
fucker.
Get
You're listening to the bar.
Nibbling away on the rocking carpet of a once-free Britain. Hello, resistors. This is the Bug, keeping the fire of hope alive. The vacuum of today's Britain. Okay, fires don't burn in vacuums. It's a little novelty Christmas light, shaped like a flame, but it's something. It is something to cling to. Joining me, as always, is...
Who said this? I'm not dying for this shit.
Control to all units. Possible hostiles near your location.
Received. We are trailing the target.
4,000. Thanks for this new tech investment.
I mean, that's a very exciting thing if you're someone who wants to work in the tech sector, but I can only assume that this tech investment has created 4,000 jobs that will immediately be taken by robots.
Where did they go?
Even if they're not the jobs that no one in their right sane mind would actually want to do, but that's the price of progress, I guess. And we have to embrace the way technology is taking over everything, because maybe this is a way of hope.
Received. Returning to HQ. Over.
Technology will, in fact, render us all obsolete, and we won't need humans at all. Because look at the bad things that are happening now. What is the common denominator behind all of them?
I don't know, Andy, tell me.
All the bad things that are happening now, all the bad things that have ever happened, all involved human beings. They're always involved whenever anything goes wrong from the very dawn of time. And think of this, an automated Nigel Cash surely a step up on the human Nigel Cash. You could even program it to have a tiny, tiny sliver of conscience. And if you had an automated Prime Minister, you could program it to be occasionally in the other country. So that's, again, it's a step forward.
Again, I insist that there's never been a Prime Minister. I've never seen him, I've never heard of him. The only times I ever hear what the Prime Minister does is when nothing happens.
I mean, it has reached the point where, and I've thought this for a long time, we would be better off if the Prime Minister was a water. We'd be happy with that. We'd all know and understood.
You hear him being praised for his diplomatic skills all the time, but the best mark of diplomacy is when nothing happens. So good diplomacy is indistinguishable from him doing absolutely nothing.
To the bar. 4,000 new dream jobs for everyone. All I can say, Alice, is that I'm very glad that my children studied drama at school, because that has set them up for life in modern Britain. That is the one core skill they need, the ability to pretend that they are living happy and fulfilled lives, that they have jobs that are worth doing, and that they're making the planet a better place, that they control their own destinies, and that they have even a parody of a private life, and that they can smile without crying. That's what drama teaches them to do. Crucial skills in this day and age. Of course, it's not just the jobs that have been technologicalised beyond all recognition. It is also all reality. Thanks once again to Optic. According to Blue, the Optic system is now the most secure it's ever been. And, well, of course, it's so convenient, Optic, isn't it? It saves us so much time and hassle trying to exist in the realm of reality. Sure, the government has hacked into my soul and now basically monitors my every waking moment and thought. But at least I don't have to type, where's my nearest coffee shop into a search engine. At least I don't have to waste anything between 8 and 12 seconds every day going online to look up how to make a bowl of muesli. And at least I'm not frittering away my precious mental energies thinking, what do I actually think?
Optic is so secure, Andy. It's more secure than a teenage girl reading a women's magazine. It's more secure than a comedian with a drinking problem. It's more secure than a young man who's just got his first motorcycle license.
Finally, before we go today, bug off to the Prime Minister, who has once again FRO'd to who knows where this week. He sure as hell is not here in London. I remember back in the day, Alice, when our Prime Ministers were either incompetent or crooked, but not both at once. But actually, no, I can't remember them being both at once. But incompetent, crooked, and not even in the country, that is one impressive triple whammy. I've had Lyons longer than his longest spell on British soil in this last year. It's this halfway house I can't stand. Either come back and do your job, or leave the planet entirely. I'm pretty sure there must be a spare space station knocking around where he can go and entertain himself for the rest of the time. Can we crowdfund it? Tell you, let's make a cryptocurrency out of something and crowdfund it that way. What have you got spare? Jelly beans? Are they still legal?
He's away so often, Andy. I'm starting to think he doesn't like the country.
That is all from the bunk today. Fly away. We are done.
And why did you come to Great Britain?
There is war in my country.
Some refugees have legitimate claim.
My whole family was killed.
And it's our job to find them.
We're going to grant your application to stay here. Welcome to Great Britain.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because we don't just protect borders. We protect lives. Sirs. Security through care.
Coming up today on The Upload, we're talking about Sky Larson, the enigmatic founder of Broker Tech. Everyone knows her name, but no one knows too much about her. We only really see her these days as a hologram. She was pretty young when she launched Broker Tech, the company that is best known for introducing Bagley to the world. Nowadays, it's hard to remember a world before Bagley.
Bagley is the most advanced, significant AI of our time, and it's really blown all the other AIs that were created out of the water. And I think that what Sky Larson's done with Bagley is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really imagine the optic without it. But what do you know about Sky Larson herself?
Not a lot, other than that she's actually pretty incredible. I've followed her work for a long time, and she's always been a pretty private person. I know that she supposedly grew up in the countryside, but there isn't actually that much more we know about her other than this tech that she's put out into the world.
I've always found it a bit creepy that she's so obsessed with this idea of transhumanism.
Why wouldn't you be? When you've got a mind as amazing as Sky's, why wouldn't you want to take what you've got and actually augment it by working with technology, by improving your physical self, changing your body and the world around you, implementing more technology to extend your life and really
If I wanted to be harassed by an annoying buzzing thing, I'd want an apiary and punched a beehive.
Always keeps the curtains drawn. Goes in and out of his flat without the flat. I know, but... Why?
People need homes!
Bloody nuisance!
Cybersecurity concerns us all. Ensure that you're up to date and upgraded to take advantage of the most advanced security features. Blocking automated upgrades is a serious offense.
Security's busted.
got a soft spot for DedSec, I must admit.